भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। So Hare Krishna, this evening we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 18, entitled The Perfection of Renunciation. So we'll be taking the three verses 51, 52, 53. So first we'll read the verse number 51. Buddhaya vishuddhaya yukto Buddhaya vishuddhaya vikto Dhrityatmananyayamya cha Dhrityatmanam niyamya cha Shabdadin vishayam stektva Shabdadin vishayam stektva Ragva desho vyadhisyascha Raga desho vyadhisyascha. So I'll read the next two verses. Vivikta sevi lagos asi yatvaka kaya manasaha dhyana yoge paro niyamam vairagyam samusprastitham ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodam parigraham vimuchya nirmamaha shanto brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So I'll read word to word translation. Buddhaya, with the intelligence. Vishuddhaya, fully purified. Yuktaha, engaged. Dhritya, by determination. Atmanam, the self. Niyamya, regulating. Cha, also. Shabdadin, such as sound. Vishayam, the sense objects. Tektva, giving up. Raga, attachment. Dvesho, and hatred. Yusiddhasya, laying aside. Cha, also. Vivikta sevi, living in a secular place. Lagu asi, eating a small quantity. Yatra, having control. Vaka, speech. Kaya, body. Manasa, and mind. Dhyana yoga paraha, absorbed in trance. Nityam, 24 hours a day. Vairagyam, detachment. Sampushtaha, having taken shelter of. Ahankaram, false ego. Balam, false strength. Darpam, false pride. Kamam, lust. Krodam, anger. Parigraham, and acceptance of material things. Vimuchaya, being delivered from. Nirmamaham, without a sense of proprietorship. Shantaha, peaceful. Brahma Bhuyaya, for self-realization. Kalpate, is qualified. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship and peaceful. Such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. Purport. When one is purified by intelligence, he keeps himself in the mode of goodness. Thus, one becomes the controller of the mind and is always in trance. He is not attached to the objects of sense gratification, and he is free from attachment and hatred in all activities. Such a detached person naturally prefers to live in a secluded place. He does not eat more than what he requires, and he controls the activities of his body and mind. He has no false ego because he does not accept the body as himself, nor has he a desire to make the body fat and strong by accepting so many material things, because he has no bodily concept of life. He is not falsely proud. He is satisfied with everything that is offered to him by the grace of the Lord, and he is never angry in the absence of sense gratification, nor does he endeavor to acquire sense objects. Thus, when he is completely free from false ego, he becomes non-attached to all material things, and that is the stage of self-realization of Brahman. So that stage is called Brahma Bhuta stage. When one is free from the material conception of life, he becomes peaceful and cannot be agitated. This is described in Bhagavad Gita 2.70. आपुर्यमाणम् अचल प्रतिष्ठं समुद्र आप प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तवत्काम में प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled by, is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. Om Ajnanaतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this verse is very important verse. So tomorrow's verse, the complete Brahma Bhuta stage will be explained by Krishna. So what are the prerequisites for a person to get into the stage of Brahma Bhuta? So these three verses, 51, 52, 53. So the theme is that it has a common theme. One achieves supreme perfection, Brahma Bhuta platform, and one becomes peaceful. That is what Krishna explains here. So now what here basically in condensed form, if we want to understand, so Krishna explains that this verse, that one endowed with spirituality or spiritually purified intelligence is naturally predominated with Sattva Guna. In the mode of goodness, the classification of higher and lower living entities is determined by the degree in which the mind is controlled and the senses are restrained. The mind is controlled by not indulging in positive or negative thoughts and illusory conceptions, and control of the senses is neutrality towards them without aversion or attraction towards their objects. So now here in these three verses, there are 7 main points. So that we'll try to cover today. So the first point is controlling the mind with determination. So all these are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 that we'll read later on. So the second point is purified by intelligence. Then the third point is giving up sense objects. Then the fourth point is freedom from attachment and hatred. Fifth is living in secluded place. Also in some purport, Prabhupada writes, living in secluded place means not indulging in gossip, not doing Gramya Katha. That is called, like some people, they on Ekadasis, they do, they say? They don't speak. Mount Vrat. So here, some places Prabhupada lies, living in a secluded place means living alone, not speaking unwanted things. Eats little and controls his body, mind and power of speech. Then seventh point is freedom from all bad qualities born of material conceptions, false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things and false proprietorship. This is what is there in the material world, more or less. So there's one nice verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita which explains, Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Atayeva Shant, Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakli Ashant. So we'll say in the material world, basically, Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami. Bhukti means those who are trying to enjoy the senses. Mukti means who are trying for elevation, to get freed from this material world. Then Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi. There are different kinds of siddhis people want to acquire. Then Kami. They have unlimited material desires. And Sakali Ashant means they are not peaceful. Now here, Krishna explains how one can become peaceful. Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Atayeva Shant. That means devotee of the Lord, he doesn't have any material desires. Atayeva Shant. And Prabhupada quotes here Bhagavad Gita 2.70. So we see this verse the Prabhupada has given a very good purport. So all of you can go to Bhagavad Gita 2.70. So Prabhupada writes the prerequisites for a person, especially one who has controlled the mind. What are his symptoms? 2.70, we'll read only the purport. So Prabhupada writes 2.70, although the vast ocean is always filled with water, it is always, especially during the rainy season, being filled with much more water. But the ocean remains the same, steady. It is not agitated, nor does it cross beyond the limit of its brink. That is also true of a person fixed in Krishna consciousness. As long as one has the material body, the demands of the body for sense gratification will continue. The devotee, however, is not disturbed by such desires because he is fullness. Because of his fullness, Krishna conscious man is not in need of anything because the Lord fulfills all his material necessities. Therefore, he is like the ocean, always full in himself. Desires may come to him like the waters of the rivers that flow into the ocean, but he is steady in his activities and he is not even slightly disturbed by desires for sense gratification. That is the proof of a Krishna conscious man, one who has lost all inclinations for material sense gratification. Although the desires are present, because he remains satisfied in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, he can remain steady like the ocean and therefore enjoy full peace. Others, however, who want to fulfill desires even up to the limit of liberation, what to speak of material success, never attain peace. The fruitive workers, the salvationists, and also the yogis who are after mystic powers are all unhappy because of unfulfilled desires. But the person in Krishna consciousness is happy in the service of the Lord, and he has no desires to be fulfilled. In fact, he does not even desire liberation from the so-called material bondage. The devotee of Krishna have no material desires, and therefore they are in perfect peace. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, anyone can recall one verse in Shikshastakam? हाँ हाँ, थैंक यू. न धनम न जनम न सुंदरीम कविताम वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद भक्तिर अहेतुकी त्वयि. So Prabhupada explains that a devotee of the Lord, he doesn't desire anything material, even he doesn't desire. There are 5 kinds of liberation, but the devotee, even he doesn't desire those liberations. So now here, as I told, Krishna explains the prerequisites for a person to come to the stage of Brahma Bhuta. So, and in material world we see, also in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami explains how one can come to pure stage of love of Godhead. Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Tata Bhajana Kriya. In material world also there are things which are to be processed. Like if you want to make sugar candy, first you have to cut the sugar cane, you have to make it into juice, then you have to boil. So there are different processes. So in the end you get this called Siddha Mishri in Sanskrit. So similarly in here there are certain criteria which Krishna mentions. So by which when one elevates all this, then one comes to that ultimate stage. And in the purport, the verse is not quoted, but Prabhupada, he quotes about the prachetas. The activities of the prachetas, there is one verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam 4.20.30. Navayad dhridaye yo jnana brahmaitad brahma vidbhihi na muhyanti na shochanti na hrishanti yogataha. So it is mentioned that always engaging in the activities of devotional service, devotees feel ever and increasingly fresh and new in all their activities. So the all-knower, the supreme soul within the heart of the devotee makes everything increasingly fresh. This is known as Brahman position by the advocates of the absolute truth. In such liberated stage, Brahma Bhuta, one is never bewildered, nor does one lament or becomes unnecessarily jubilant. This is due to Brahma Bhuta situation. So that is the one stage, like when one aircraft, when it takes off, after sometimes it will go to a height and it will be steady until it arrives to the next destination. So similarly in the devotional service also, so when we come to devotional service, with the gradual passing of years, it is not a overnight journey. Devotional service is gradual. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives one nice analogy, like a mango. So the budding comes in the month of December, winter. So there's a small flowering budding. So gradually the mango, it takes at least like 5 to 6 months to completely get matured. Like there's one tithi called in the month of May, Akshaya Tritiya. Yeah, it is mentioned that during Akshaya Tritiya, the mango gets complete nutrients and complete rasa from the sun and the moon. And only after Akshaya Tritiya you can enjoy the real mangoes, what you get now in market. So actually the material nature, it provides according to the season. But because in Kali Yuga, people want all the 12 months. So they produce by hook or crook in greenhouse and other things. So whatever it is. So devotional service also, a time will come gradually. So when a person gets situated in that stage, so then what happens? Then he's not much bothered in the what is happening in the material world. Oftentimes we see when we are traveling and we are living in the company of devotees, oftentimes we get disturbed. And today one devotee, he called me that one devotee, he got very much angry with another devotee snoring in other room. Snoring, all of you know, it annoys you like anything. So this devotee, he was telling him you should move from this room to another room, although he was in another room. So what happened in the night, because he couldn't control, and he banged a window glass, and all his 3 fingers got cut. Okay, whatever it is. Sometimes, very difficult. In material world, certain situations, they are beyond our control. Sometimes we get so much irritated. So here, what Krishna is expecting us, that yes, we should come to a stage. Also in the Bhagavad Gita 2.54, Krishna had asked Arjuna the symptoms of a person situated in transcendence. There also Arjuna, he asked about a person situated in transcendence. What? So Arjuna vacha Sita pragyasya ka bhasha samadhi stasya keshava sitadhi kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. So Arjuna, he asked Krishna, "Oh Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak? And what is his body language? And how does he sit? And how does he walk?" He didn't ask how does he talk. So whatever it is. So these are the things previously Arjun has asked. Now what Krishna explains further to Arjuna's question. O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desires for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind is thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. One who is not disturbed in mind even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear and anger, is called a stage of steady mind. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. One who is able to withdraw, Krishna gives one analogy, the senses from the sense objects, as the tortoise withdraws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. So now if you go to some temples in India now also, some temples, when you enter the temple, you will find there is one small tortoise at your feet. People often touch. You will find Shiva temple, there is a Nandi. But if you go to some temples, you will find there is a one marble or one made cast metal they make, tortoise. So when you enter the temple, so all your senses are to be withdrawn. So that is what it indicates. When you enter the temple, you have to be in a peaceful mind. You should not be very much agitated. So oftentimes when people before entering temple, they think about their shoes. Somebody may not steal their shoes. So today, material world, what we see, people are in complete anxiety. But here, Krishna explains, gives the analogy of a tortoise. Whenever there is a danger, what it does, it completely withdraws the limbs, even the leg. No animal can do anything to a tortoise in the ocean. So it is an amphibian. It moves in the land. It goes into the water. So Prabhupada, he writes in the purport, the test of a yogi, a devotee or a self-realized soul, is that he is able to control the senses according to his plan. So according to his plan means like we know Ekadasi, like Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he gives an analogy. If someone gives you a nice halwa on Ekadasi with dry fruits and some honey on the topping, so will you eat the halwa? No. You know today is Ekadasi. So similarly here, like a devotee, he can have his own plan. Then most people, however, are servants of the senses and are thus directed by the dictation of the senses. Material world, what we see, just do it. All of you know. Actually, in material world, there are many companies, they put there this thing, Yes, there are certain companies, they say, just do it without thinking. It is like animalistic. The animals, they don't think before what they do. That's why they get entangled. So in Padma Puran, there is one verse. It is mentioned that Patanga, Matanga, Kunga, Panchabhir Eva Panchahatam. There are 5 living entities. That is a Patanga, Matanga, Kuranga, Bringa. That is one insect which is attracted to light. Even it enters sometimes fire, thinking to be light. Then fish, elephant, a deer, and a bumblebee. So how they get killed? Just by utilizing one sense object, eye, tongue, ear, nose, whatever it is. So, but a human being, when he's in action, in enjoying mode, he's using his all the 5 senses. We are using the 5 times the power, what those they use. So what will happen? We will drain all our energy. In material world, only human being who is draining his energy unnecessarily, who doesn't follow any rules and regulations as per the nature. So we see in the material world, all the living entities except mankind, all the living entities, they are following all the nature, complete natural, whatever is the nature. Like in the evening, you will see the birds, they come to the trees, they'll do some chirping for some time, then they become silent until next day morning, until the Brahma Muhurt. So, but mankind, if you go to big cities and all, it is day and night the same, especially airports and all, railway stations. So here, now in the Srimad Bhagavatam, if we see the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, more or less, Dhruva Maharaj, he followed all these things, what is now is being said. So now, today what is spoken, just we'll go to 6th chapter, you can go to 6.8. So we'll read just the translation. So what are the prerequisites for a yogi? So page number 276. So I'll just read the translation just to save the time. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or a mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether a pebble, stone, or gold, in as the same. The next, a person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest, well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral mediators, the envious friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. Further, a transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessions. Further, 11 and 12. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The sheet should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it with very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point. Then 13 and 14. One should hold, so many things are mentioned by here Krishna, so we'll not go to that extent. So here, similarly, what now Krishna is explaining to come to the platform of Brahma Bhuta. So these are all the prerequisites which are being told in the sixth chapter also. So there is one nice story of Avanti Brahman. In Uddhav Gita, Krishna explains about one Avanti Brahman. So this Avanti Brahman was also more or less, he was, although he was a Brahmana, but he was a materialistic person and he had acquired a big amount of money, and by the fate of destiny, somehow he lost everything. So then when he renounced everything, then he has written one song called Bhikshu Geet that is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So what he mentions, Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetur na devatatma graha karma kala Mana param karanamamananti samsara chakram parivartayedyat. So what this Brahmana explains, basically, we are being entangled by the mind, only by the mind. And next verse, he concludes, I am hopeful that I will control my mind by some means or the other. So here, the translation is that what he explains, these people are not the cause of my happiness or distress. Neither are the demigods, my own body, the planets, the past work or time. Rather, it is mind alone that causes happiness and distress and perpetuates the rotation of material life. In material world, we blame so many people around surround for small things. So when he came to a higher stage after renouncing everything, so now what he explains, etam sastaya param paratmanistam adistam purvair maharshirbi aham tarishyami duranta param tamo mutungandrahi niveshivaya. What he explains, I shall cross over the insurmountable ocean of nescience by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. This was approved by the previous acharyas who were fixed in firm devotion to Lord Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this Avanti Brahmana, what he explains, yes, determination. So here in the first, this thing was mentioned that yes, one has to be in complete, firm, resolute determination. Then only we can go ahead. And we see another story, but it is another way wrong. Another way wrong in the sense, there was one king, Chitraketu. His story comes in the 6th canto. So one time, Angira Muni, it is a big story, just to make it short. So one time, Angira Muni, in the olden time, what we see, basically Nanda Maharaj, he explains, the sages, they come to the house of a grahastha just to elevate them in Krishna consciousness. So what happened, one time Angira Muni was visiting King Chitraketu and seeing his face. And there is a saying, face is index of mind. Yes, there is a nice saying. So like some doctors, just by seeing the patient, they can make out what disease he has. So similarly, especially the sages, they just by seeing a person, they can make out what distress he is undergoing. So Angira Muni, he just asked, yes, king, everything okay? So the king, he said, so why you are joking with me? For a person who is very hungry, you give him some, chandan and some garland, some water. His hunger is not going to be fulfilled. A hungry person needs some food. So what King Chitraketu, he said, see, I have no son, although I have 1,000,000 wives. Anyone knows how many wives King Chitraketu in Indian? 1 crore. Still he didn't have one son. Can you imagine? Destiny. So another pastime is there of King Prashini Barishad, conversation between King Prashini Barishad and Narad Muni. So this King Prashini Barishad, he was completely engrossed in materialistic way of life. And Narad Muni, he gives him a very nice allegorical story of Puranjan. Puranjan means a person who is trying to enjoy within this body. That person is called Puranjan. So this body is made of 9 gates. All of you know. Now Dware Pure Dehi. In olden time, Indian cities also, they had different gates. Like if you go to Delhi, there is a Kashmiri gate, there is a Lahori gate. There are so many gates leading to different destinations. In olden time, in India, now also there's one Aurangabad, many places I go for preaching. Still, that gates are there leading to different destinations. So in material world, actually Narad Muni, he tells him the story in an allegorical way, how he's trying to enjoy this material body and how he's overcome by the material nature. So now we'll come to a verse which is being explained by Rup Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So there are 8 symptoms of a person elevated, Jivan Mukta. So he explains in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.187. यह यस्य हरेर्दासे कर्मणा मनसा गिरा निक्लाश्व अपि अवस्थासु जीवन मुक्त स उच्यते. Anyone who, by his actions, mind, and words, lives only for the transcendental loving service of Lord is certainly a liberated soul, even though he may appear to be in a condition of material existence. So we have examples like Hanumanji, Uddhavji, then King Yudhishthira Maharaj. So Prabhupada, he writes one in purport in Bhagavatam 5.4.5. So Prabhupada, he quotes another verse from Chandogya Upanishad, which is being quoted by Veer Raghav Acharya. Prabhupada writes that there are 8 symptoms of a Jivana Mukta, a person who is already liberated, even living in this body. The first symptom, one is so liberated is that he is freed from all sinful activity. That is called apaha papa. Apahata papa means he is free from sinful activities. As long as one is under the clutches of Maya in the material energy, one has to engage in sinful activity. Bhagavad Gita describes such people as dushkritina, which indicates that they are always engaged in sinful activities. One who is liberated in this life does not commit any sinful activities. Sinful activity involve illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, gambling. Another symptom of a liberated person, that is Vijara, which indicates that he is not subject to the miseries of old age. So now here exactly what is miseries of old age means, like when Prabhupada, his final days, when he was about to leave his body, so he was not affected. He was still translating the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada said, the chanting is my medicine and hearing this Srimad Bhagavatam is food. Prabhupada, he quoted like that. So another symptom is Vimrityu. A liberated person prepares himself in such a way that he does not take on any more material body. This is the end, this is the ultimate, which are destined to die. In other words, he does not fall down again to repeat birth and death. That means he doesn't fall down in devotional service. Another symptom is Vishoka, which indicates that he is careless to material distress and happiness. Another is Vijitaksha, which indicates that he no longer desires material enjoyment. Another symptom is Apipata, which means that he has no desire other than to engage in devotional service of Krishna, his dearmost pursuable Lord. A further symptom is Satyakama, which indicates that all his desires are directed to the Supreme Truth, Krishna. He does not want anything else. He is Satya Sankalpa. Whatever he desires is fulfilled by the grace of Krishna. First of all, he does not desire anything for his material benefit. And secondly, if he desires anything at all, he simply desires to serve the Supreme Lord. This is what 8 symptoms they are being mentioned of a liberated person. Also in Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, from verse 8 to 12, Krishna had given this similar instructions, what we are now reading for a self-realized person. I'll just read the main points. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of evils of birth, death, old age and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home and rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me. Again, aspiring to live in solitary place, detachment from general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for absolute truth. What Krishna explains, all these I declare to be knowledge, and beside this, whatever there is, it is all ignorance. This is what Krishna explains. So we have just 10 minutes left. So we'll discuss the commentaries by our acharyas, Sridhar Swami. So what he explains, endued with purified intelligence of nature, secured in sattva guna or mode of goodness, a devotee controls the mind, ensuring that one's purified intelligence is constant and steady, relinquishing all desires for sense objects and abandoning the ever fickle dualities of likes and dislikes, such as a person is qualified to realize such a person is qualified to realize the Brahmin or spiritual substratum pervading all existence. Such an aspirant will keep themselves in pure remote locations, such as a forest or mountain, restraining speech, the impulses of the mind, and the impetus of the body, always devoted to practice of yoga or felicitating communion with the Supreme Lord, which comes from reflection, then meditation upon the Supreme Krishna, constantly striving in this endeavor with firm determination and dispassion, so that he remains constant and unbroken, rejecting the egoism of delusion that one is the doer and controller, which gives the illusion that one is free from worldly attachment, then rejecting all things superfluous which are inclined to lead one away from spiritual pursuits, rejecting the objects of senses and desires to enjoy them even if they appear unsolicited. Thus, one who has steadily arrived at this stage becomes totally tranquil and serene, having achieved supreme peace, and such a person is qualified to realize the Brahman. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains, one should be endowed with sattvic intelligence, buddhi vishuddhaya, that is what is mentioned, controlling the mind, atmana niyamam, with similar sattvic determination. Further, he explains, one should be completely devoted to thinking of Bhagwan, dhyana yoga, paraha. One should be devoid of strength, bala, related to material attachment and desire, rather than devoid of physical strength, with cessation of ignorance, avidya, characterized by freedom from ahankara. Then the price of lust, anger, and possessions. There is also the cessation of sattva guna, shanta. This is the achievement of jnana sannyasa, giving up jnana itself. This is understood from the statement of 11th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, cha mai sannyasat, one should offer all jnana to the Lord. This means that without the cessation of both ignorance and knowledge, ajnana and jnana, there can be no attainment of Brahman realization. Being freed from these, it is possible, kalpate, to realize bhuyaya, Brahman. Bhuyaya means Brahman. Then Baldev Vidya Bhushan, he explains that yes, these verses describe the process utilizing sattvic intelligence, Vishuddha Buddhaya, and similar determination, Dhritya, restricting the mind, Atmanam Niyamya, making it suitable for Samadhi, dealing with the collection of serene objects such as sound, rejecting distance, Vishuddhya, then attraction and repulsion which are directed to the sense objects, living alone, Vivikta Sevi, controlling eating, Lagashvi, turning voice, then body and mind towards the objects of meditation. Constantly, niyam, nityam, absorbing the mind in thinking of the Lord, dhyana yoga paraha, renouncing all things other than atma vairagyam, freedom from identification with body, ahankara, free from the impression which increases the identification, balam, freed from pride, darpa, which is caused by strengthening the false identity with the body, freed from hankering, kama, for enjoyable items which have been taken away by the force of finished prarabdha karmas, freed from anger when one's possessions has been stolen by others, freed from possessing things which is the action resulting from false identification, freed from worldly connection, nirmama, one realizes the form of one's Atma with 8 qualities that I mentioned, Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. That person is peaceful like an ocean without waves, Shanta. So this is what is Prabhupada quoting in his purport. Madhvacharya, he explains, Lord Krishna is stating that by imbibing and actualizing these attributes, qualities, one assumes the nature of Brahman, the spiritual substratum pervading the existence. So also Ramanujacharya, he explains that Buddhi is spiritual intelligence, the consciousness which exclusively focuses on Atma. Manas refers to mind, senses and body, which acting in such a way discourages desires for sense gratification and encourages reflection on the Supreme Lord. Vairagya samspritihi means renouncing the objects which the senses hanker for and indifference to mundane pursuits. It is while chasing such pursuits that occasionally friendship or enmity transpires. So ceasing from these pursuits would free one from raga, dvesha, attraction and repulsion. Vivikta Sevi is seeking solitude in remote places, aloof from disturbances and meditation. Then moderation in eating and sleeping. Dhyana yoga means internally performing continuous bhakti or exclusive loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord Krishna or any of his avatars or incarnations and expansions as authorized in the Vedic scriptures, gradually increasing aversions towards anything that is not connected to Atma or immortal soul and the Supreme Lord. Ahankara is egoistic conception that considers the body to be all in all and cannot disconcern that they are not their physical body. Balam or lust for power. Darpan is vain, conceit, which is derived from it, and nirmamam is the notion one possesses what is not one's own. Shanta is tranquility, peacefulness, the serenity of bliss acquired by constant reflection and meditation upon the Supreme Lord qualifies one to achieve realization of the Brahman or spiritual substratum pervading all existence and achieving moksha or liberation from the material existence, attains Atma Tattva or soul realization and enters into the bliss of communion with the Supreme Lord. So we'll end here. We have just 2-3 minutes left. So here, what we today understand from Lord Krishna in these 3 verses, he told Arjuna 3 prerequisites of a person: controlling the mind with determination, purified by intelligence, giving up sense objects, freedom from attachment and hatred, living in a secluded place, eats little or controls his body, mind, and power of speech. And 7th point, freedom from all bad qualities born of material conceptions, false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, and false proprietorship. So we discussed these points today. Hare Krishna. So anyone has any comment, question? Yes. Make short, quick.
We are supposed to eat less.
We are supposed to eat less.
Yes, it's clearly said.
No. One according to one's capacity. So everyone can't eat the same plate. So according to our body build-up and your physical work, so one can eat 1 time, 2 time, 3 time according to how much he is digesting.
No, but before we came to ISKCON, after coming to ISKCON, all ISKCON temples, from morning there's a feast every day. Morning, afternoon, evening.
Okay, that is for the beginners. So if you are advanced, you can reduce. Yeah, okay. Next.
Like there are so many qualities to follow up. So these qualities will develop gradually, or just like everyone has to pay attention that this should be here.
No. They will automatically manifest in our dealings. Here Krishna explains how they become manifest, how we take different steps in different situations. So here these verses, they gradually build up to tomorrow's verse will explain person situated in Brahma Bhuta platform. So today only the prerequisites, the steps. Now like you are climbing a house, you are going to staircase. Today we covered the steps. Tomorrow it will be mentioned Brahma Bhuta. So today only the steps. Yes, Mataji.
You said that it takes some time for the bhakti to ripen. Just like
Yeah.
But Prabhupada said just 1 minute. Can you please explain?
Just
Prabhupada said just 1 minute as an.
yeah, but if we are that much pure, like if you, like if I put the copper wire, so that will catch the current because there's a pure. It is a conductor, but my body I'll get shocked because I am not a conductor of electricity. So similarly, it depends from person to person, So we are not from anadi karma phale padi bhavar navajale. Since so many pastimes we are rotating. So if somebody is pure, like Khatwang Maharaj, he just asked, yes, how much time left? So they said one moment. Okay, he was purified. So depends upon person to person.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So as you explained, desire, like one should like not desire for self-gratification, desire for devotional service or Krishna. So how to change our desire?
So when we live in the association of devotees, so when we increase our chanting, when our things are purified, like if you are living in a purified atmosphere, like today, Srimad Bhagavatam, it was mentioned that if you are living in a devotee association and if you are in Sattva Gun, then gradually they will take out your material desires. Rajogun and Tamogun, they are in a sideline. Then you get elevated to a higher consciousness. Bas. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Bhagavad Gita ki, Hare Krishna.